Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Solo Chogokin, and then here we are, the mini change Getter Robo series, and we're gonna talk about, just for the change, about GX74 Dynamic Classic Getter 1. But how come? I already did it. No. It is the real issue. Bandai. Anyway, in this series of 2 episodes, even if the robot are 3, we will obviously talk about the GX74 Dynamic Classic Getter 1 and also GX91 Dynamic Classic Getter 2 and 3. Today we're gonna start with our GX74 reissue, released in January 2020. This model is basically the same of the previous one, of course, a super recycling Bandai style. So I will also make a mega recycling episode, but changing the bare minimum just for connect the various models, just like Bandai. Roll the video! Let's start from the GX74 reissue Getter 1 Dynamic Classic box. It's a classic dynamic style layout, of course, obviously with a Getter 1 model in the center, to the right the pilot, and to the left a close-up of the robot, exactly like the GX74 first edition. But we notice we don't have a 20th anniversary Solo Chogokin logo and the sticker that's reiterated. There is not a first edition, so the bonus item is missing. Bandai blue logo and not red. We no longer have the age warning now on the back. Instead we have the holographic logo. However, we always have the Getter Robo logo from the anime. Side we have the Getter Robo image exactly like the GX74 first edition, and on the other side the continuation of the cover drawing. All like the first edition, also above and below everything as the same. Let's turn the box and we find many images of what you can do with your model, and if we compare it with the GX74 first edition, we notice that we have a new image of the trio Getter, very beautiful. The old image is inserted with another image. Let's open the box and we can find the robot, the display, 2 tomahawks, 1 underpants, 3 full burn for the Getter machine for the display, and the 2 stand-up. Let's compare it to the GX74 first edition and see the content is the same. Here we have a display for the Getter machine, 3 Getter machines and the Getter wing. Here too the content is the same. Let's move to the booklets. All color. It is not the big booklets, are just 3 pages. Inside you can find information about the Getter Robo, of course, and some study for this model, and in the back the blueprint for the Getter machine. Everything's exactly like GX74 first edition. The instructions are in black and white like all DC instructions. Here are the same as the first edition, where they explain the contents and the function. Only the difference is the final page. We no longer have the image of the 2 robots, the Great Mazinger and the Getter Robo, where they shake hands. Obviously, with the times that's run, better keep your distance. Otherwise, it's the same GX74 first edition. The form to request the hangar for the various DC is also missing. Here we are, the display of the GX74 reissue. Of course, it is a classic display, dynamic classic. So let's open it and we find a second face with an aura higher. We have 2 chests, one for the Getter beam that is shorter and one normal. 4 pair of hands in various poses. Let's compare the 2 displays and we notice the bonus items are missing. That is the end for the famous handshake between Getter Robo and a great Mazinger. The rest is the same. We close, and obviously this part can be removed and insert the base for the Getter machine or the dynamic stand-up. Behind we can put the Robo stand-up or put the Getter machine in flight mode. Here we are at the 3 Getter machine, and obviously they are the same of those of the first edition, all in plastic. We see the eagle and we don't notice any difference. The Jaguar here too, we see no difference. And the bear, also like the first edition, is nothing different. So let's compare them with the GX06 and let's go with the recycling Bandai style. Here the Getter machine. We have the GX06 in the bottom and in the top the GX74 DC. Let's have a look at the difference of the color. La Bear, the yellow, it is more brilliant compared to the 06. Also, the missile color is different. GX74 are white, 06 are chrome. And the cockpit glass is more brilliant compared to 06. The eagle, the color is very similar, but GX74 it is a little bit brighter. The bigger difference it is the cockpit. On GX74 is bigger and the glass brighter. Jaguars, the most difference is the color. 06 is white and the GX74 is a grey blue. Also, the cockpit size is bigger on the GX74. On GX06 we have a display like a truck, and the GX74 we have a static platform. The other difference is the GX06 is half metal and half plastic. On the GX74 are all in plastic and they are very light. On size, the GX74 are a little bit bigger. There is a more detail on the front of the eagle. The Jaguar is very similar. The engine are more detailed on GX74. On GX06 we have a screw for connect the metal to the plastic. Here the bear, GX06, the front of the bear has more detail compared to GX74 this time. Also here we have the screw for put together plastic and metal. Di plastica. Let's move on to the Robo GX74 reissue. As it comes out from the package, it is ready assembled. We need add only the chest which is inside the display, as we have seen. Let's compare with the GX74 first edition, and we see the robot is same identical as the Getter machine to the first edition. Great Bandai, go recycling! Let's compare the GX74 Getter 1 with the Getter 1 of the GX06, and I also go with the recycling once again. Here are the robots! Woo! We compare the GX74 with our GX06 basic. We can see the basic difference. Heights, GX74 is taller than GX06. The white color on 06 now on 74 is a blue-gray. The other big difference is the head of the robot. Look how smaller the corners in the head compared to 06, and I think is more proportional to the body. The red line is more roundy compared to GX74, they are more straight. Side, the GX74 is more slim. On the back, the circle is gone now. Let's remove the wings. On GX06 we need to remove top of the robot, and also we can use the bottom for the getter beam. In the GX74 you don't remove anymore the top part, but also we don't have anymore the bottom for getter beam. Getter beam! Let's have a look better at GX74. Getter 1, and don't have anymore the bottom of the beam in the back, but we need to turn the getter beam in this way. I don't like it. We can remove the front of the robot to place with the second one smaller, to allow more visibility to the beam. This robot is more articulated and easy to move compared to 06. We have the same metal structure of the classic DC. We can replace different underwear for put your robot in a better dynamic pose, like Mazinger Z DC. Of course, we can replace the end. We have the classic plastic connection. To remove the tomahawk, you need to remove the bottom part. Remove the tomahawk from the hand and put back the bottom part, otherwise not get in. Let's change the face to our Getter Robo. Very similar face, different expression. Here we are at the final comment and the price of this GX74 reissue episode. Very recycled, but also this model is the same as the previous GX74. The price is 10,000 yen, 160 New Zealand dollars, 87 euros. Same price as the previous one, but you don't have the extra N for the famous handshake between the Great Mazinger and the Getter Robo. Obviously, all the information about the bonus items have disappeared from the box and from the instruction, but adding the image of the other two Getter Robo from GX91 have a box more tied to the last release of the Getter trio, precisely the GX91 that we'll see in the next week, always here at Solo Chogokin and Z.